Hello friends, welcome back. So in this session we will learn Java Reflection API. So what is Java Reflection API and why we need Java Reflection API? We will see that one. So Java Reflection API is a very powerful API of a JDK that can be used to get the information about the class. Or Java Reflection can also be used to modify the class variable value, access modifier dynamically. Or Java Reflection API can also be used to develop the framework such as Spring Framework, Eclipse Link, Top Link, Hibernate. So all these frameworks are already using Java Reflection. So we can say in general word, Java Reflection is an API that can be used to get the information about the Java class or enumeration or annotation or interfaces. So any class file, if you want to get the information about the class file, you can get that one. Means you can get what is the class name, what is the how many variables are there in that class. So all those information you can get using Java Reflection. Suppose what type of information we can get using Java Reflection API. So using Java Reflection API we can get class information like class name, access modifiers, marked annotations on class. So all that information we can get, means how many annotations are marked with the how many annotations are marked for the class level. Suppose that entity or tables, something like that. N number of entities there can be annotations can be marked for the class. So you can get all the annotations. You can get the access modifiers. Access modifiers means access modifiers of a variable or access modifiers of a method you can get using Reflection API. Or class variable information also we can get using Reflection API. So variable information including field name is nothing but variable name. What is the variable type? What is the variable name? What is the variable type? How many annotations are marked on that field? We can get that also. Field access modifiers also we can get. Means that whether the field is public, whether the field is private or protected, or if it is a transient or volatile or anything synchronized, something like that. So all that access modifier also you can get using Java Reflection. Constructor of the class also you can get. How many constructor? Like constructor information includes constructor name. Obviously constructor name and class name will be same only, but still you can get the constructor name. Constructor parameter, how many parameters are there for that constructor, you can get that one. What is the name of that parameter, you can get that also. What is the type of that parameter, you can get that also. Or if any annotation is also marked in a constructor, that also you can use, that also you can get. Okay, and constructor class method information including method name. So class information also you can get, method information. So class method information you can get, that include method name, you can get the method name also. You can get the method parameter, how many parameters are there for that method, you can get that also. Name, parameter type also you can get. Or method return type, what is the method return type, that also you can get. Or what is the access modifier used for that method, that information also you can get. Or method annotation, so how many methods are available for that method, that also you can get. Or how many annotations are marked into the method parameter, so that also you can get using Reflection only. So method parameter annotation, etc. or we can say that all the information related to class, enum or annotation, we can get. We can say that we can get all the information related to class or enum or annotation or interface, etc. We can get those in. So let's see one example where we will get the information of a class. Suppose here if you see, we have created one class, that is a person. If you see this person class, we declared this class as a public, and the class name is a person, and this class is marked with one annotation, that is a table, and a table annotation has one parameter, that is a name, and that value is a person, uppercase characters, person only. Okay, and inside this class we have declared some fields. One field is a person ID, name, age, mobile number, email and address. So these are the fields that we have declared into this class, and on top of these fields we have marked one annotations, that is a column, 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 and column annotation has one variable, that is a name, and we are setting this value. We are setting the name value as a for person ID, PID, for name, age, for mobile, for email, and for address we are setting the name as a address only. And all these all these fields are declared with the private access modifier, and one method one age is there, one age field is declared with private and transient. So that's why we have given all the all the fields here, and this transient we have given because we want to check whether we can get this private access modifier, and transient also we will get. Okay, and we have declared 3 constructor into this class. One default constructor, one constructor with person ID, name, age, mobile number and email, and one constructor we have declared with all the fields like person ID, name, age, mobile number, email and address. So these 3 constructor we have declared into our person class, and remaining getter and setter methods are there. Get person ID, set person ID, get name, set name, get age, set age. So getter, setter, get mobile number, set mobile number. For setter method the respective parameter will be there, but for getter method there will be no parameter, but return type will be there. Return type for getter method is a corresponding return type, and for setter method the parameter is for corresponding type, but return type will be void. So getter and setter for email, for address, and one toString method we have given, that is overridden from object class, and along with these some other methods are also there for this person class, like wait, equals, because that method is coming from object class, because by default this class has a super class, that is object. So this is the this is our class. So now this class information we want to get using this reflection API. So how we will get? So that we can get using this one. First we have to load the class. Load the class. So we have loaded this class here. We can load this class in this way, or we can load this class using this in this way also, or some other so many other methods are also there, like class dot find for class, something like that. Yeah, for name, or you can use loader. If you use loader, then using loader you can load the classes. So we will see that loader later. Currently you understood we have to load the class first. So this is our class. One class is already available. This class is available under java.lang package. Under java.lang package, one class is there with the name class only, and that class is a generic. That class is taking the information of whatever generic type you are giving here. So currently we are specifying here generic type as a person. So this class is holding the information about person class. So we have loaded this class here. After loading this class, what we can get? We can get the class information. Class information means we are getting the name of the class or simple name of class. Package name, what is the package of that class? We can get here. We can get canonical name. We can get the type also. So currently we will see this much only. The remaining I am just commenting. Okay. So here how many details we will get here? So what is the fully qualified class name? Fully qualified of class name for person is com.techhub.java standard edition demo.reflection.person. So this is fully qualified class name. So we are getting this class name here. If you use this class, because what we are using to get this class name, we are using this person class object, and this class is already available in the java.lang package. That is a generic. So this class is holding some information of whatever the generic type variable we are specifying, for that one it will hold the information. So here using this person class we are getting all this information like person class dot get name, get simple name, get package name, get canonical name, and get type. So this information we are getting here. So here you can see fully qualified name is this one, simple name of class is person only, package name is this reflection, till that this reflection only, this is the package name, this is the canonical name, it will be same as, and this is the type, it will be same. So this is the information about class. Next information what we are getting here, how many annotations are available for that class will get. How we will get that one? We can get the annotation. So how many annotations are available for that class? Currently for this class only one annotation is available. Only one annotation is available. So that annotation we can get here. So how we will get this one? Using get annotations, person class dot get annotation. Using this get annotation, one annotation array, annotation reference variable of array type will be returned. It is returning an annotation array. Annotation is another class that is defined into java.lang.reflection. This is an interface, sorry. So this interface it will return, and it will return as an array. So you can get from this one. So if I run this one, you will see. So how many close this also. Okay. So you can get here, see class annotations. How many annotations are there? This annotation is available. Yeah, the same annotation only, no, table annotation with this name person. So this detail we are getting here. Okay, so this is about the annotation. If you want to transfer this annotation to specific tag like table dot something, then you can do that also, because this is generic annotations. You can typecast to table. I think you can do that also. So if you do this one, then using this table, I think we can get the information. Yes, we can get that also now. See, now here this is the table, table dot get table dot name, only the name will come. What is the value for that name? Person only, no. So person. So you can get using that also. That is also fine. That is also fine. Currently we are giving this as a generic because we can just understand what exactly the concept you can do in this way also. So this is you can get the annotation. How many annotations are available for that class? You can get that one also. And the next one we will see how many constructor are there for that class. How many constructor are there? Oh, sorry, we will see field first. How many fields are there for that class? So we have already seen so many fields we have declared, like person ID, name, age, email, mobile number, address. So these are the fields. So all the information about fields we will get. What is the name of that field? What is the name and what is the type? What is the access modifier for that field? We will get that information here now. So that we can get using this one. Okay. So here person class dot get declared fields we are using. So what the get declared fields method will return, this will return one field array. What is field array? That field array is available under java.lang.reflect.field. This is a one class. So this field class is available under java.lang.reflect only. This is a class, final class, and this get declared field will return an array of a field type. So from this field we can get all the information. What information we are getting? We are getting the access modifier. Yeah, here this is access modifier we are getting. Modifier is another class. Using this modifier, toString method is there. Using this toString method you can get the modifier in a string format. Currently, because this access modifier is returning integer type 0 1 2 3 4, because that 0 1 2 3 4 is representing only whether this is a public, private or protected. So using 0 1 2 3 only this access modifier is represented. Okay, so using modifier class dot toString method you can get that access modifier in a string. So we are getting field dot get name, we are getting the name of that field. Get field dot get type means generic type dot get type name. What is the name of type of that field? Here we are getting the type. So here what we are getting is the information. We are getting access modifier for that class, for that field. We are getting the name of the field and we are getting the type of field, and here we are getting the annotation of the field. How many annotation is available for that field? Because if you see the person class, for person ID 2 annotations is there, but for name only 1 annotation is there. So we have to get that information. So we are getting the information for that annotation also. So field dot get annotation, so it is returning the annotations again, the same thing only how we are doing for this class. In the same way we are doing here. So get annotation, field dot get annotation, and using this annotation we can get the annotations detail. Okay, and you see we are iterating here, all the fields we are getting. Get declared field, this is an array, so that array we are iterating in for loop. Okay, so here same thing, we are getting the annotations array only, annotation array, and that array we are iterating here. In the iterations I have created one string builder, and using this string builder we are appending into we are appending the annotation information, and in the last we are printing the fields here. So if I run this one, you will see the detail here. See, now we got all the detail here. We got the details here. See. So this is first field name is person ID, type is a string, java.lang.string, and annotation is these two annotation is marked for person ID. One is ID, another one is column. Column has two variable, length and name. So this is the information for person ID field. This is the information for name, that is also string type, that is a private, and this has only one annotation, that is a column with length and name value. Next one is an age, that is a type of integer, that is a private and transient. You see age is transient also, so it is coming here, and annotation is this column only. And next one is access modifier, is a private, and mobile number, length, that is a long type, and annotation is only column with length and name value. And next one is a private type access modifier, and for field name is email, and that is a type of string only, and that has marked with one annotation, that is column with length and name value. And the last one is an address field, that is a private also, that access modifier is a private, and this is a type of address. This type is of address, com.techhub.java virtual lang package.cloning.address. This class we are taking from this old package. So this is the type for that one, and this is also marked with one annotation, that is column. So this is about the column information. And one more thing, currently because this column information we can get here if we don't want to use this column, means column name. So sometime this column is coming as a 0 1 2 3 4. So sometime in Java 8 they have given extra feature. If we disable that one, so let me see, Java compiler, yes, okay, that's fine. So so here we can get the information about this variable fields. In the same way we will get the information for constructor also, okay. So here we are getting the information for constructor, okay. So here what we are doing, get constructors, person dot get constructor we are calling. So what it will do, what this get constructor method will do, it is returning one constructor, and this constructor is again available into java.lang.reflect only, and this constructor is a generic. So I think it is returning a person only, I think person only, but I am giving this as a diamond operator here, okay, wildcard, okay, fine, that is fine. Okay, so this constructor is an array of constructor, and this array of constructor we are iterating at line number 65, 1111 constructor we are taking, and from this constructor we can get all the information like get name, what is the name of that constructor, obviously that will be class name only, but still we are printing that one, and what is the parameters of that constructor, how many parameters are available for that constructor, and constructor don't have return type, so that's why we are not getting the return type here. So how many parameters are there for that constructor, so it will tell how many, like it sometimes 0 1 2 5, how many parameters are there for that constructor, so it is getting the count of that one, okay. And parameters also we are getting here, this is a parameter, parameter is again class, again one class that is available under java.lang.reflect package, it is available under this package. And get parameter, constructor dot get parameters, it is returning an array of parameter type, it is an array of java.lang.reflect.parameter type, and that parameter we are iterating using one loop, and from this parameter what we are getting the name of parameter, type of parameter, yeah, name and type only, that's it. Yeah, parameters, see here this is a constructor, suppose this is a constructor, so this constructor has a name, this constructor has a parameter, and parameter is a type and name and type, and constructor can also have the access modifier, so that also you can get okay. That if you want to get how will you get that one, using this way I think, right. So this is constructor name, constructor access modifier, let me check once, okay. So it's use here constructor only, yes, fine. So this is access modifier access modifier access modifiers, okay. So if I run this one you will see, so this is constructor, that access modifier is a public, and this is the name of that constructor, person only, and this is the parameter count, how many parameters are there for that constructor, because this is a default constructor, so parameter type is 0, no parameter. Next one is constructor that is with 6 parameter, this is the access modifier for that one, and this is the name for that constructor, and 6 parameter are there, and that 6 parameters is this many, these are the first parameter is a string type, that name is argo, but if you see what is the name of that parameter, See, I will open the six parameterized constructor. So 6 parameterized constructor is this one, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. And this constructor first argument, first parameter is a string type with the name person id, but currently I am getting here the name is, currently I am getting the name is arg0, arg1, arg2, arg3, arg4 and arg5. See, this is sixth one, this is 6 parameterized. No, for this 6 parameterized constructor, first parameter type is a string but name is person id, but currently it is, why it is giving 0 arg0, because this feature is available under Java 7. If in Java 8 you can get the information about the parameter also, whether that can be parameter for the constructor or that whether that can be the parameter for the method. So you can get that information in Java 8. So for that, so to do that one, or so to see the parameters name for the constructor or for the method, you have to enable one feature in your IDE. So you have to go to window, preference, and under this preference you have to select Java. Under this Java you have to select a compiler. Under this compiler you can see here class file generation, means it is generating .class file. While generating .class file, what you want to do, I want to store information about method parameters usable via reflection. If you want to use this information via reflection, then you have to enable this function here. You have to enable this store information about method parameters. So I am checking this one and I am clicking on apply, yes, and apply and close. So now if I run this one, you will see instead of AR0, AR1, AR2, AR3, AR5, AR6, you will see the exact name, the actual name you will see here, because that information previously, that information was not stored in your .class file. So now it is storing that information. So now you can see that information here. See, now it is coming. So this is 6 parameterized constructor. For that one, what is the name of that field? Person id. Type is string. For second one, type is string, name is name. For third type is integer, name is age. For fourth one, type is long, name is mobile number. For fifth one, name is email and type is string. And for sixth one, type is address and name is also address. And in the same way, this is for fifth one, this is 5 type parameterized. For fifth one, you can see address parameter is not there for fifth one. Yes, address parameter is not there. Okay, so you can get that information using this get constructor and get parameter count or get parameters. Using these methods, you can get the information about the constructor of the class. Okay, and the next one is the method for the class. How can you get the methods of that class? In the same way you can get, see here, get methods. Method is there for person class. So get method, it is returning one method. Where is this method available? This method is again available under java.lang.reflect. Under this reflect method, one class is available, that is a final class, I think. Yes, this is again final class. So this class is available under java.lang.reflect package, and get methods is returning method array, method type array, and that method type array we are iterating one by one, and from this method we are getting all the details. Which detail? Access modifier. So as we have already discussed, this access modifier is returning in integer number 0 1 2 3 4. So using 0 1 2 3 4 only we can identify what exactly the access modifier. If it is a 0, that may be private or public, something, that one you can go to that modifier class and you can see. So modifier.toString, from this modifier we are making toString. what is the name of that method, we can get here. What is the return type for that method, we can see here what is the return type, and what is the parameters for that one, we can get all the parameters. See here we are getting the parameters, here we are getting the access modifier, here we are getting the name, and here we are getting the type. Here we are getting line number 94, we are getting the parameters for that class. How many parameters are there? So parameter we have already seen, this is java.lang.reflect.parameter. so it is get parameters is returning an array of parameter, and from that parameter we are getting type and name. This parameter get parameters is returning an array of parameter. It is returning an array of parameter, and we are iterating that array, and from this iteration one parameter we are getting, and from that parameter we are getting the type and name. So if I run this one, you will see this is very clearly seen. So here this is the access modifier for. So what is the first method? See, there are so many methods like getter, setter. So this is set person ID. If it is a set person ID, then definitely one parameter will be there. Because it is a if it is a get, then no parameter will be there. But for setter, parameter is there. What is the parameter? For setter, parameter is there. That name is person ID, and that is a type of string only. And that has a return type? No, this is a void. This has a void return type. But for getter method, return type is there. Get person ID, that return type is a string, and this is a public. This is the name. This is the public. This is access modifier. This is the name, and this is the return type. And there is a no parameters. So like that you can get all the details. Yes. See, set mobile number. This is for set mobile number. It is taking one mobile number, that is a type of long, and this is the set mobile number is the name of the method, and this is the return type for that one, void, and this is a access modifier for that one. So you can get all. So all methods it will give. See here, sometime final, public final, wait method is there, because this method is coming from object class. So all the methods it will get. So in this way you can get the information about the class. So what type of information we can get using Java Reflection? We can get the information about class, like class name, access modifier, marked annotations, means how many annotations are marked for that class. You can get all that information. You can get the information about class variable. That includes variable name, field name or variable name, field type or variable type, what are the annotation is marked for that field, and what is the access modifier for that field. So that information you can get using a reflection. Or you can get the constructor information, like constructor name, constructor parameter, and constructor parameter type. So this information also you can get using reflection. Constructor method information also we can get, that include method name, method parameter type, method parameter return type, and method access modifier, and method annotations also, and method parameter annotation. So any details of about the method you can get. Or we can get any other information that is related to class or enum or annotation or interfaces. We can get that also. So this information is we can use using reflection, and that is the use of a reflection API. That is a very powerful API of JDK that you can get using that you can use to get the information, or you can change the information also. Information means if some object you have already created, that object value you can change. So can we modify the class object value using reflection? Yes, that we can do. So now let's see that one. Okay, suppose if you see here, I have created one person class. With the person ID P001, with the name this Ramnivas, with age 26, with mobile number this one, and this with this email. So this is the person information. Person ID, person name, age, mobile number, and email. So we have created this person we have created. So what I want to do, I want to change the person name. How I can do? I can do very easily. So suppose if I run this one, so if you see here, this is the person name Ramnivas. Next time this is the person name Kuldeep. I have changed the person name. You can do that one. How can you do that one? Using setter method we can do that. Is very easily. We can do like that one, but I don't want to use this one. I want to modify the value for person name. How I can do? You can do that one using reflection. Yes, you have to do that one. So how we are doing this one? Person. So first we are loading this class person dot class. So we have loaded this class. From this class we are getting the constructor. Which constructor? Get declared field. Which field? Name. And this is the name field. So this is, we can say like that, this is the name, field. This is the name field. For this name field, set accessible, I have to mark this true. If we are not marking this as set accessible true, we cannot access this value. So set accessible true, and after that one, field dot set. What you want to set? I want to set Kuldeep. Kuldeep to what? To which object? This person object. You have to pass here object, because this class object has no relationship with this person, because this person is a separate object. This is an object. This is an object for this person class. So this person object don't have any relationship with this person class here. So to make that happen, to make that relationship, you have to tell you want to set this value, but you want to set this value for which object? For this object. So that object we have to pass here. So we can set here this Kuldeep, and after setting you can print this one. And now if you see this, again this name is changed here, Kuldeep. Or if you want to set like ABC, that also you can do ABCD. Now it will set. See. So using this like that, you can change the values for that object also dynamically. Okay. So this type of operations you can do using class. Next one is a class loader. See how we are loading class here. We are loading class using person dot class, but you can load the class using this also. That is also fine. Yes, that is also fine. So here are the class. Some of the class loaders are there. So what is class loader? So Java class loader is a part of JRE, your Java runtime environment, that dynamically load the Java class into your Java virtual machine. The Java runtime system does not have need to know about the file because of a class loader. So you have to suppose you can say like that, class loader is nothing but that is the part of your JRE, and that dynamically load the Java classes into your virtual machine. So how it will load, we have to see that one. Java classes are not loaded into the memory all at once. Suppose so many classes you have created for your project, and so many other classes are already coming with JDK. So will that all classes will be loaded into your memory? No, it will not be loaded into your memory. Whatever classes you are using in your program, only that class will be loaded into your memory. So but whenever required by application, at that point of time, Java class loader is called by JRE, and then class loader load the class into memory dynamically. Whenever you call, whenever you need, at that time only it will load. Okay, so this is about the class loader. So now how many class loaders are available? So 3 class loaders are available. One is bootstrap class loader, another one is extension class loader, and the last one is application class loader. So what is a bootstrap class loader? Bootstrap class loader is a machine code which kickstart the operation when JVM calls. It does not it is not a Java class. Its job to load the class from RT file or from the it is job to load the first pure Java class loader. Bootstrap class loader load class from location.rt.java, because this is a runtime. To start your JVM or to process the JVM, some classes has to be loaded into your memory. So Who is doing that one? Bootstrap is doing that one, because you have to bootstrap your JVM also, no, or you have to bootstrap your JDK also. So how it is possible? So bootstrap loader, class loader, is doing that operation. It is loading from rt.jar file. Bootstrap class loader does not have any parent class loader. This is the parent of for all the loaders, but it does not have any parent for this loader. It is also called the pre-model class loader. Okay. Next one is the extension class loader. What is extension class loader? Extension class loader load the files from jre.lib.ext. This is one directory into your JDK. Wherever you have installed your JDK, you can go to that directory and you can find these directories. Wherever you have installed your JDK, you can go to that directory and you can search for this directory. This directory will be available, and under this directory so many .classes file will be there. So extension class loader will load the .class file from this directory only. The extension class loader is built for Bootstrap class loader and load the extension of the core Java classes from the respective JDK extension. Yes, and the JDK extension is available under jre.lib.extension library or any other directory pointed by system property. So extension class loader is loading the .class file from two directories. One is jre.lib.extension and another one is java.extension.dre. So this is a one property. When you start your JDK, so when you run your application, you can manually set some directories where your program or where your JDK will search for the .class files. So you can set this property also, java.ext.dirs. So in this dirs you can set the directory's name. So extension class loader will search for the .class file into this directory also. Okay, so this is the meaning of extension class loader. Next one is application class loader. What is application class loader? Application class loader is your system class loader. You can see that also. So application class loader is also known as a system class loader. So it will load your .class files, whatever we have created for our project, that classes will be loaded by application class loader. It load the application type classes found in environment variable. Environment variable is which one? Class path. We have already seen when we created a .jar file, or when we see the Java package, in that session we have clearly described this, defined this class path. What is class path? How we can define the class path? How we can access from the class path? So all that we have already seen. So you can go to that session and you can watch that one, no issue. So this is this application class loader will load the files from your application environment, and application environment is defined as a class path, or class path in lowercase, or CP also. That is same only. This is class path only. CP stand for class path only. So using this word also you can define you can indicate class path. Using this class path also you can point to class path. So this is the names only. Class path command line option. The application class loader is child class loader for the extension class loader. So application class loader is the child loader for extension class loader, and extension class loader is the child for Bootstrap class loader. Okay, so here some steps is happening, that is called delegation model. So what is delegation model? To load the class, delegation model is a model that is followed by your JVM to load the classes. How exactly classes will be loaded, where it will search the classes, so all that information we will see here. So Java virtual machine and the Java class loader use an algorithm called delegation hierarchy algorithm to load the classes into Java into Java file. The class loader work based on the set of operation given by delegation model. So this is a delegation model is nothing but an algorithm. So JVM will use this algorithm to load the classes. So that algorithm steps is defined here. Class loader always follow the delegation hierarchy principle. So what is that hierarchy principle? Suppose whenever JVM come across a class, it checks whether the class is already loaded or not. Suppose whenever you are running your program and your JVM will come to across, it has to load a class. So first what it will check? It will check whether the class is already loaded or not. If the class is already loaded, then loaded into method area. So where the classes are loaded, we have already seen this one. Classes are loaded into method area. In the threading environment we have seen this one, I think. So if the classes are already loaded, suppose whenever your JVM come across, it has to load a class. So first your JVM is doing what? Your JVM is checking whether the class is already loaded or not. If the class is already loaded into your method area, then your JVM proceed with execution. Yeah, it will do with execution, because the class loading will happen only once. We have already seen this one. Class will be loaded always once. Class will always be loaded once. So if class is already loaded, then JVM will load that class again. It's not required, only one time class will be loaded. So if the class is already loaded, then JVM will proceed with execution. If the class is not present into method area, it means class is not loaded. So in that case your JVM has to load the class. So then JVM asks for JVM class subsystem to load the particular class, and then class loader subsystem hand over the control to application class loader. So here one concept is coming, that is class loader subsystem. One class loader subsystem, that is nothing but this delegation hierarchy principle only. So class loader subsystem, what it will do? It will load a particular class, then class loader subsystem hand over the control to the application loader. Application loader then delegate the request to extension loader, and then extension class loader delegate the request to bootstrap class loader. This is the process that happening. If your JVM is seeing your class is not loaded, then JVM what it will do? It will hand over this job to class loader subsystem, and class loader subsystem will hand over this job to application class loader, and application class loader will hand over this job to extension class loader, and the extension class loader will hand over this job to bootstrap class loader. Now what bootstrap class loader will do? This bootstrap class loader will search the class into this library, and this library is nothing but rt.java file, rt.jar only. Yes, into jdk.jre.library, Java runtime environment library. So bootstrap loader will search for the class into this directory. If the class is available, then it will load the class. If the class is available under this library or under this directory, then bootstrap class loader will load this class. If it is not, then request is delegated to extension class loader. Means if not, then request is delegated to class loader. Means inside jdk.jre.lib, inside this directory, your bootstrap class loader is unable to find the class, find the class. In that case, your bootstrap class loader will hand over this request or will delegate this job to extension class loader. Okay, and then extension class loader, what will do? Extension class loader will search for the class into this extension library. We have already seen this one, extension library, jre.lib.extension. So So in the same way, wherever you have installed your JDK, inside your JDK, this extension directory will be there. Inside this extension library, all the dot class, some dot class files will be available. Means some library or some jars will be there. So in that jar, your extension class loader will search, and if the class is available, then it will load the class. If the class is available under this extension library, then extension class loader will load this class. If it is not available, then your extension class loader will delegate the request to application class loader. Or we can say that if your extension class loader is unable to find the class under JDK JRE lib.extension library, so if your extension class loader is unable to find the class under this library, then your extension class loader will hand over this job to application class loader. And application class loader, what it will do, it will search in your class path. We have already seen this one. So application class loader will search the class into application class path. If the class is available, then application loader will load this. Otherwise, what your application class loader will do, it will throw an class not found exception. This is the workflow of class loader. And here are some directories like JDK JRE library lib. So this is available under wherever you have installed your JDK, and in the same way extension library is also available under the JDK wherever you have installed your JDK. Okay, and application class path, this class path you have to define. Wherever you are executing your program, you can define your class paths, or whenever you are using some IDE, so automatically it is setting the class path. Okay, so this is the meaning of this application class loader. It is searching into your class path. Extension class loader is searching into extension library, and bootstrap class loader is searching into this JRE library or .rt.jar file. So this is all about the class loader and delegation model for the loading of classes. This is an hierarchy only. You can see from this diagram also, JVM will request to class loader subsystem, class loader subsystem will request to application loader will search, will delegate this request to extension class loader, and this will delegate to the bootstrap loader. If it will search in this directory, bootstrap class path, extension class path, and application class path. Okay, so this is the workflow for the class loaders, and types of class loaders are this much only. Okay, so this is for this much is for Java Reflection API. So in the next session, so far we can say that we have finished this Java Standard Edition tutorial. Almost we have finished. Some other APIs are there, but that are not being used much, so that's why we are not learning that one. Later on we will see, whenever we have much time, we can see that one, like Java.network NIO package is there, network input output, and Java another one is there, like Java network IO package, socket is there, Java some socket API is also there. Socket API can be used for to create the server and client application, and network input output package is also there. So to relate with network, you can read the file from network, like that. So that APIs are also there, but that is not much important. If we will get the time, we will learn that also. But in the next session we will start with JDK. We will start with JDBC. Not JDK, JDBC, sorry. So JDBC is nothing but that is Java database connectivity. So what is Java database connectivity? So suppose there are so many databases like Oracle databases, MySQL databases, PostgreSQL databases. So that databases, why that databases is built? Because that databases is used by the application to store the data. So how we can use that one? We can use the database using JDK only. There is only one technology for Java, that is a JDK. That is a JDK, and that JDK is only a communication way between the between the Java application and between the database. That database can be anything. That can be Oracle, or that can be MySQL, that can be Postgre, or that can be any other databases. So that databases connection, if you have to make with Java application, then definitely you have to go with JDBC only. You have to learn JDBC, then only you can be able to make the connection with your database. So we will see that from the next session we will start JDBC. And the JDBC package is using what? That JDBC package is using, I will show you here. I will create new class and I will show you one SQL package, PACK package demo. Okay, so here if you see some of the packages are already there. Import java.sql. Yes, so under this SQL package, if you see under this SQL package like JDBC driver manager, JDBC SQL query, so result set, so all these classes are available, but that is only the interfaces, or some of them exception, or some of them are the concrete classes, but almost that is an interfaces only, because these are the specifications that is given by Oracle, and database vendor has to implement that one to be connected your database with the Java application. So if it is an Oracle, then we have to use Oracle driver. If we want to use MySQL, then we have to use we need MySQL driver, because who is giving MySQL driver? MySQL company only is giving. Whatever the company who is building the database, only they have to provide that library, they have to provide that driver. So using that driver we can connect to database. So we will see from the next session we will start that JDBC. Okay, so this is for the Java Standard Edition tutorial. So I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel, and we will see you in the next session. And if you want to get some reference, so you can get the reference from these links. That is Oracle Standard Edition tutorials only. So from that official site you can get our other information. So I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel, and we will see you in the next session. Till that, bye bye, and thanks for watching.